Kevin and Trent in the Earl Scruggs Center on a fall afternoon, and we laughed a lot, and we laughed a lot more. And then finally we started recording, and we laughed a lot more. I don't know that we actually ever got anything done or said, but it was a lot of fun. If you're wondering whose voice is who, Trent Hoyle is the one who does all the talking. Now Kevin does some, and you know my voice, but pretty much Trent Hoyle. Blame it all on Trent. You should enjoy this. It was a lot of fun. Hi, welcome to Season 4 of Big Sound Small Town. I'm your host, Sandy Carlton. Join me as musicians tell their stories about how they became musicians and the stories along the way.
Hey Sandy, this is Odell Scott. I'm a drummer from upstate Greenville, South Carolina, and I've been doing this for over 50 years and have my own band, Split Shot, and just got some stories to tell for you.
That's good, man. I'm looking forward to it. So you telling me you're living in Mooresboro now?
Mooresboro, North Carolina. My wife is from up here. I've been up here living 3.5, 4 years now.
Okay. I mean, that's you're pretty well associated with the state of South Carolina.
I like to think so.
I mean, you're kind of entrenched in the music legends of South Carolina. I mean, if you've ever been to the coast of South Carolina in the Myrtle Beach area, I'm sure that if you've gone to the most famous of music clubs there, they've heard you play.
Yeah, I went to the Bowery, and I remember it well. On June the 12th, 1980, Alabama went out the front door, and we came in the back on the 14th.
And who would you have been with then?
I think we were called Whiskey River at that time.
Really?
And we changed the band. We went name because nobody
Right.
there's 99 Whiskey Rivers
true.
and and so we went to Fire Lake for a while, and that was just didn't like that. So we ended up with Slewfoot.
Yep. That's So was it hard to follow Alabama into there?
I'm right. It was. You know, I mean, they were so entrenched, and they were so popular, and they were such a people's band.
They were.
And they had been there, 7 out of the last 9 years or something like that, and they had an incredible following.
They did, and as you know,
when they left, My Homes in Alabama was number 17 on the country chart.
See?
How do you follow that?
It's hard to follow. I mean, I would think that would be one of the hardest of all jobs to have to follow.
It was tough there, but we built our own following, nothing like that, but we hung on.
But you had a dadgum good band too.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it wasn't like you went in there with I mean, the quality of the band is quality as Alabama.
Well, I won't go. Alabama has a sound.
They did have a sound.
I mean, when an Alabama song comes on the radio, even now, you know who it is.
You do.
You know, and I think that's more important than being great.
And they were also good, like you said, with people. They kept the tip jar full.
Mm-hmm. They knew how to work tip jar.
They did, and they knew a bazillion songs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people that never saw Alabama in the Bowery didn't understand that they knew just about every song in the world at that point. You know,
$20 they could do it.
yeah, whether they knew it or not.
Yeah.
Well, you guys did the same thing.
We did the national anthem before they had Myrtle Beach Day at Atlanta Stadium at Fulton County, and we learned the Star Spangled Banner, and that was an undertaking if you're going to do it right with 4-part harmony. You know.
Yeah, I agree. It is.
You know, and somebody came in a week later after that and said, "I saw y'all on TV doing this. And put $20 in the tip jar. Can you do the Star Spangled Banner?" So we made everybody stand up. Nobody knelt down.
Right.
And,
before kneeling. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so we did that. That was kind of, I mean, anything. You know, Yeah.
Well, in fact, I might even seen Neil sometime do that, and maybe Dixie back to back or something.
Yeah, Neil McJunkin,
Yeah.
he was with me on that. Neil and I, we went to high school together.
You and Neil did?
We did, in Liberty, South Carolina.
Neil's one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
We go way back, we do. And I remember walking over to his house with a microphone stand when I was 13 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
So y'all how did your music career start?
Well, Sandy, I remember Mama telling me I wasn't a friendly kid, and I didn't have a lot of friends. And so Mama, I mentioned wanting a set of drums, and I guess with a Ringo and Dave Clark, I wanted to get into that. And so they bought me a small set for Christmas, a Kent Gold Sparkle set. So I would maybe join a band and make some friends.
Right.
And so it all changed after that, you know. And I heard her tell me many times, I wish I'd never bought you that damn set of drums.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, that came your destiny, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's been your life pretty much.
It has. I mean, I've done other things, but that was always on the main burner. Yeah.
I bet you, speaking of Dave Clark 5, I guess you had that Glad All Over drum beat was probably one of them things that you learned. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that makes you and me pretty old when we know.
You know, he never played on their records.
Really?
Not a single record.
Really?
He always used studio drummers.
That's funny. I did not know
That's just
that.
how smart he was.
That's pretty good. I mean,
it was great. Like you're talking to that and that beat, you know. And
yeah.
I loved him, you know.
Yeah, they were great.
They had that big fat sound with the sax and the organ and everything.
Yeah, it was good. That was a good sound. I agree. But an inspiring drummer at that time needed to learn that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so that's pretty good. So do you wind up taking lessons? Or you just teach yourself?
A little bit. I tried. One time I got serious about reading and tried to take in some stuff, but I never stayed with it like I should have.
Right.
That's one of my regrets.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I think it's actually easier and to take lessons now than it was when we were kids. You know, I didn't have real good exposure to lessons to take anything I wanted to play too much, you know, and
well, with YouTube now, there's a wealth of knowledge out there that, I mean, I have stuff that I've downloaded off that I'll be working on for the rest of my life.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and it's just.
Oh yeah, I've learned that a lot of things that I played since YouTube came out, I played wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's pretty amazing because I had to drop the needle down on the record like in the same spot to keep learning the same lick over and over and over. It's not like you can go on there now. You can find tab or you know, any kind of music notation you need to learn anything you want to.
I have one called Capo, and you can change the tempo. You can have them up. You can go down. You know,
that's cool.
I record something on there, and you can do anything you want to with it, and it's just $20 a year. You know,
and you can't beat that. I mean, it makes it pretty easy compared to the old days.
Mm-hmm.
Then so once you started playing drums, being a drummer, I guess you needed somebody to play with, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
So what did you do there?
Well, like you were talking, Neil and I, we messed around a minute for a year, and we had one of our first falling outs, and over a $40 amplifier. It was a good one. It was a Fender Tweed.
Yeah, Fender Tweed is a fine amp.
We bought it together and ended up it was just it didn't work out.
Yeah.
You know, so, but I had some neighbors up the street. They're two Cannon brothers, Mike and Pat Cannon, that are really, really excellent musicians. Pat, I learned so much from them, and I was a young kid, and they put me in their band. And, bless their hearts, I can imagine, you know, the timing and stuff that they had to deal with back then. But they taught me a lot. And then I just started, you know, going with this band and going with that
Picking
band.
up with different bands
Picking
around.
up, you know.
Yeah.
There were a lot of us got drum kits about the same time, and we kind of taught each other and watched you know,
that's good.
learn new licks and stuff.
When did you figure out that's what you was going to do?
When did I figure it out? It just
Or did it just happen?
it just happened. You know, I there's been a few times. I guess when I got out of school and I went down to Tri-County Tech. I was going to go to school there, and I was walking in, and my daddy had passed away, so it would have been monetarily advantageous for me to go to school.
Right.
And I said, I don't want to do this. And I walked out. And so I started playing in bands, and I went to New Orleans and tried that out. I have a aunt down there, and he ended up being in the wrong place at the wrong time, spent a week in jail. And I came back and, you know, just picked up with the bands again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot to learn. Speaking of New Orleans, that's a different set of drum beats down there, too.
Yes, it is. Some of the best drummers in the world are down there.
I agree.
But, you know, when I went to New Orleans, they were mostly Thursday or Friday weekend stuff. There weren't. I thought there's going to be this abundance of jobs and music, but it was only on the weekends.
Yeah.
And back up here, I had been playing 4 or 5 nights a week, you know, and it all changed down there. And I never broke into that elite down there.
It's hard to get in. I mean, that's kind of. It's not a closed group of people, but it's certainly not a real open group of people either.
Not. If you're in the clique, you're in the clique. But if you're not, it's hard.
It is hard to get yourself in there. Yeah, it is.
It was a learning experience, you know. That's
South Carolina's always been full of bands, so I guess you could come back there and find that and places to play too.
Yeah.
I mean, South Carolina's had as many places to play in every small little town down there.
Yeah, that Wade Hampton Boulevard in Greenville used to be just like, there were like 6 clubs with bands. You know, you could bar hop on that one street, you know, and it was a learning experience. And
you can learn that way. I mean, they don't have, upstate still has a good bit more than everyone else places to go. The Greenville-Spartanburg area still has plenty of places to play.
Yeah.
But unlike North Carolina is, you know, they're pretty limited to the number of places.
I wonder why that is, because, you know, you got 3 times as many people up here. You know, I'm sure there's more in Raleigh and, you know, but.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there is a lot more in Raleigh.
Greensboro.
But here between the Charlotte and Nashville, there's not a lot, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, plus you guys also, another way you get really good is all the jobs I played early on in my life in South Carolina went all night long. I mean, we're talking to 1 or 2, sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh gosh, we used to have one place called Big Daddy's in Greenville, and it went from 9 till 5.
Yeah, I mean,
you know.
Yeah.
That's it. I played I was in Biloxi, Mississippi for about 6 months, and I played down there at a club out on the beach. It got destroyed after, wasn't Camille, it was one big one after that. But I played from 11 till 5.
God.
And when we got through, there was a club across the street that went till 8. And if the crowd was there, it would keep going.
Really?
Wouldn't stop. Biloxi was wide open. This was about early 75.
Wow.
And it's right when disco was starting to play this, you know, Car Wash and More Than a Feeling were on the radio. About that period right in there. There was a lot of places to play down there. You know, that was a fun gig.
I'm sure it was. I mean, that's how though you get your act together with your craft, playing that many hours.
Kind of like the Beatles did, you know. And of course, I'm not on that, but you know, I'd like to identify with them or think about them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's people these days don't get to play that long much, you know. I mean, 3 sets pretty much a deal these days. I mean that's you have 6, 7 sets in a deal like that.
Yeah. I mean, really, it was.
So how'd you wind up? Well, okay, it was what would be Slewfoot. Was that your first trip to playing music at the beach?
I had a group called Jade Coffin who went down, and we did some weekends.
Right.
But pretty much, you know, they the Bowery gig, Alabama got us the gig when they left, and I had a nice rapport with them, and we had a good band. You know, we had a Robbie Turner was a keyboard player. Zach Turner, you know, he's great songwriter.
Right. Yep.
And he was in that band. He came up with the name Slewfoot.
Oh, okay.
And we went down, and Alabama got us in there. You know, after the, you know, I knew them. They had tried to hire me when they hired Mark Hernan, and I was not in town, and then I went down, and after I got back in town, they had hired Mark because they were playing, you know, 6 nights a week, and they needed somebody then. And if it had not worked out, I would have been a drummer in Alabama.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if I'd been the drummer, you know, but I'd have been a drummer, which is my tears in your beer story, you know, that I sit around. But they got it. It was a good deal because we went down, and I played there for 4 summers, and it was I decided it's just you know, 8:30 to 1:30.
Sure.
It was, and I kind of lost faith in the band, and so I decided to do something else.
Well, you know, who when you went in there, when y'all first went in there, who all was in that band?
In that band was Zach Turner. He's Robbie Turner then, and Jimmy Royal. You know Jimmy Royal?
I don't know
Jimmy
him.
Royal's daddy wrote Teddy Bear.
Oh, really?
Dale Roll.
Oh, I don't know.
And we had a guitar player, Phil Bruce, and he. I
know Phil.
You know Phil?
Yeah.
And his wife Janet at the time, she ended up after Robbie left and went to Nashville. She joined the band on keyboards.
On keyboards.
And then we hired Neil McJunkin at that point. You know, he came in later on, you know, the next summer.
Right.
And it was fun. We had 4 legitimate lead singers.
Yeah.
And then Mark Inslee ended up being in a, you know, Smoothie.
Right.
And he stayed. He left and came back, and ended up staying there 20 years with the Bounty Hunters.
Oh, really? He stayed there that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's pretty wild. So how'd you wind up over at the Beach Wagon?
The Jimmy Sharpen, the guy had called me looking for a drummer, and I said, well, what about me? You know, this was back when I had left the band, and I was just popping in, and I had a band called Scott Phillips Band, and it was a lot of fun because it had one guy played banjo too, and one guy played fiddle, and country rock was big rage then, you know, and we would, you know, we do that.
And which was what would been going on over there more too.
Mm-hmm.
At Beach Wagon.
He asked me about it, so I said yeah, and so I came in and stayed there 5 years, and
it's a pretty good long time too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the last 2 years I did a pool party 5 days a week and played the Beach Wagon 6 days a week. You know,
wow.
So I did a lot of playing.
Yeah, that's a lot of playing.
Yeah, so
make all that money while you can.
Yeah.
Because that was actually good times. I mean, how did they put you up when you worked there at the Beach Wagon, or put you up when you worked at the Bowery?
No.
Okay.
Young.
Okay.
Yeah. But I had the greatest. Okay, if you're familiar with Myrtle Beach, downtown, where the where Chapin's was.
Yeah.
And if you look across, you don't face the beach, but you face south.
Right.
There was a Western Auto.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And there's a big white boarding house right there. Well, we ended up renting rooms there at that boarding
that's
house.
pretty cool because it's not that far either.
No, you could walk, and then you'd walk through the pavilion the amusement park.
Right.
And everything be just bopping and all the energy and on your way to go to the barrier. So you just be all psyched.
Yeah, that had you charged up by the time you got over there.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that would be good.
Now talk about being young. We had no air conditioning.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And the house was, I mean, you're talking about a big white, Miss Page who owned it, bless her heart, and she was downstairs, and she had like 3 different rooming facilities upstairs, and we had one fan in the front room and one in the back, and below, and everybody had a fan in the room.
Yeah, that's being young.
When we moved in, 3 of us, we paid $60 a week rent. Now that's no utilities,
right?
And she said, well, now, if you have guests, I'm expecting you're going to have to pay for them. I said, well, why don't I go ahead and give you $10 more now? This is 19.
Right, yeah.
And won't worry about it. And she said, okay.
Ah.
And it was cool. You know, we had a bathroom, but there was a shower outside, and we would go take our showers there and wouldn't heat up the house.
Right.
And, you know, we'd all be gone during the day and it'd be cooler at night, you know, so that was, I can still lay in bed and hear the downtown
all going
noise.
on.
Yeah,
still going on.
Even now, 40 years later.
That's pretty good, though. That's pretty cool memory. I mean, that's a pretty good thing to have in your head.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It relaxes me. It really does.
I can see that. You know, that's something that people miss. That I mean, you just added something that I don't think anyone else has ever stepped across in here. That is one of the things about music that allowed you to have that memory that people just wouldn't.
Mm-hmm,
to think about, I mean, you could only do that young. You could not do that at any stage in your life other than being young. And it wouldn't happen today because people grew up with air conditioning. You know, I mean, I didn't grow up with air conditioning, so you know, I could have probably done it at that age too. You know, so but pretty fun times, eh?
Right, it was a lot of fun.
So all right, so you come back. Yeah, I guess you made a decision at some point just to leave the beach altogether.
I did. It was in 90, and now the reason I kind of had in the back of my mind the 2 gentlemen, the Presley brothers, and they were opening up a new club in Charlotte, Coyote Joe's.
Yeah.
And it was going to be 5 or 6 months, and Larry Presley liked me, liked my drumming and everything, and so I knew that he would call me. So I decided to go home and, you know, just kind of hang out. Right. That's when the economy took the nosedive there in late 90, or 89, you know. So when he opened up the cottage, I was a drummer there for a year and a half. And
I got a buddy that's a drummer there now.
Really?
Yeah, Mikhail Wallace.
Really?
He's from Shelby, and he's the drummer there now.
Well, what, Out of the Blue, is that the name of the band? Or?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. I actually know their keyboard player, too. And their bass player, he's left now, but he's from Shelby, too. So I knew they had 3 Shelby people, Shelby Kings Mountain people, Cleveland County people working there here in the last year or so. Mm-hmm. But when they shut down for COVID, and a lot of those guys went their different ways. That's how Mikhail got in. Their drummer, he let it go.
A funny story. I was playing there, and race night, Saturday before the 600.
Right.
We had 2,800 paid admissions. You know, now they can get more because they've been enlarged.
Right.
And the bass player at the time was a hoot. Okay, we're doing Desperado.
Yeah.
And Richard Putnam.
I know Richard too.
You know
Richard, yeah, he lives right here in Shelby too.
Richard lives in Shelby.
Yeah. Has a recording studio and.
I know he has a studio.
Yeah,
really.
Right here in town.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
We're friends. Yeah, I forgot
and the
he
bass
played.
player, I can't. His name escapes me right now, but he died on stage.
He died
He
on
had a heart
stage?
attack. Not then.
Oh, right.
But later, after I had left.
Right.
And Richard has set up Desperado perfectly with this variety. Richard's such a wonderful keyboard
He
player.
is a
I mean,
wonderful keyboard player.
And I'm getting ready to open my mouth and say, Desperado. And before I get it out, he turns over to me and says, Opie Taylor. I lost it. I lost it. Nearly 3,000 people there, and I can't get a word out. You know,
That's funny.
You know, that's one of my funny stories, and I have that. Sometimes I'll be by myself and I'll just say Opie Taylor. You know,
That is
I'm
funny.
laughing.
That-
you know, he
that's
killed
really
me.
funny.
He killed me. I mean, you know how it is. Sometimes you're done. You
Yep.
know. And that was sweet. It really was. It's great. But I'm sorry, his name escapes me. But he right now it'll come to me when we're further on.
Oh,
down the
yeah, I'm
line,
sure
you
it
know?
will.
That's
Did you work there? Well, I guess they had one down in Greenville at some point, didn't they, or Spartanburg?
Oh yeah. They have in Greenville. Blind Horse.
Yeah, Blind Horse.
Well, Blind Horse, you know, and it's doing real well too. You know, so
I thought that was one. I thought that was theirs too. I knew they had another one.
that worked out real well for a while. See, like used to, they would when the Beach Wagon was there too, they would buy an act,
Right.
and they could get them cheaper because you're giving them 3 dates.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
and it's good routing too.
Right, it is good routing.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and they would used to when I was the Beach Wagon. There was when during that period, country music was just huge.
Yeah.
You know, and like when they opened up Coyote Joe's, Garth just started, you know, and then there was that what they call it, class of 88, 89, all them with Vince Gill,
Right.
Travis Tritt, and all them, Alan Jackson, all them came along, you know, and country music was a big thing then. You know,
Yeah, it really was then. That's good country music too. You know,
It really was. You know, that period there, the real outlaw, you know, with Merle and that's just so special.
Oh yeah,
you know?
it is. I
And,
mean,
think about that. Now it's kind of a little diluted. You know, but
well, it is.
You know, I don't want to sound like an old poop, but you know,
It's different. It is different.
You know, I check in every once in a while to see what's going on. You know, but that's
Now, you know, one of the things I've spent my life as a songwriter, and you know, now when I see that you got 6 writers on a song or 7 writers, I don't even see how you can say you wrote it or wrote part of it.
yeah.
And you got to split the money that many different ways. You know, that's it's changed. You know, music's changed. A lot of stuff has. Royalty checks ain't not the same. You know, I mean, totally different. So, all right, now about this at this point, what do you do when you leave Coyote Joe's?
I started a band and with Neil McJunkin, and we started doing a circuit, and we ended up. A friend of mine, Joey O'Neill, that owns a music store in Myrtle Beach. He knew some people from Japan, and they wanted to bring some country music to Japan. So we ended up going there. I did 2 tours of that. I did, let's see, it was April and May, and December and January.
Was that fun?
93, oh, it was a lot of fun.
When what years was that?
93 and 94.
I bet that was fun. That was a lot
It was
of fun.
great. It was great. I went to always so many fun things to do, get out and walk. Everybody walks there in Japan. A lot of people go their whole lives out on a car.
Without driving a car.
You know?
That's pretty cool.
And it's, well, I remember one of the things, I got some great pictures. The Hard Rock Cafe has 4 of the original frames of the first 4 Beatle albums.
Huh.
And the actual pictures that are on the album, not not a lithograph, not
Right.
a copy of them, you
The
know.
real pictures.
You know, and they had some neat stuff, you know.
I'm
in there,
sure.
You know, but that's just going. The Japanese are buying up all the Beatle memorabilia anyway, you know. But I never looked at, you know, I felt like I was in church just about looking at those pictures.
Did the people, when you were there, I mean, how'd they react to your music?
They're very polite and very nice, and we were playing in a restaurant. It was called the Bourbon House. It's very famous over there. It'd been a blues. Is in the bottom of a huge 10-story hotel, office building, and it was down there in the bar, and it wasn't, you know, really huge. And he brought us over there, but they reacted, but like it was a supper club, and if you got them clapping, they wouldn't stop till you finished. So they're supposed to be eating, you know. That's one of the things I noticed, you know. But they're very attentive, and there's a market for that over there in Japan, but they didn't quite know how to get hold of it, you know, grab hold of it. You know, we were the first band that did their country music thing, and the last. And so
Really?
they brought us back, you know, and it was it was fun. I went to saw some old castles, and I really enjoyed it.
That's good. That's really cool. That's I mean, that's an unusual experience, I'd have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a one of a kind.
Yeah, that's I've done music's taken me to a lot of neat places.
Yeah, that's one of the neat ones, I'd say.
You know,
So when you come back from there, what do you do?
okay. Well, the band ended up. We all went our separate ways, and I formed another band, and it ended up being a trio, which is Kid Colt, and we were starting to do other things besides just a country, you know, trying to dance and stuff, and it stayed really busy. We won. Let's say, what was it? Best. We tied with the best band in the upstate in Greenville with the band at the Blind Horse, which included Ronald Radford.
Right, I know Ronald, yeah.
Yeah, and I said he's having open heart surgery this
Really?
weekend too. Yeah, James.
Ronald's a
know.
great musician.
Boy, isn't he that?
Yeah.
He's super. But we were real proud of that, you know. Then I sat down again. I sat down again at a club called the Manor in Greenville. So I was there for 5 years, and
Just like a house band job.
it was. But it was just Friday and Saturday.
Right.
And
Well, yeah, you're getting a little older then.
I was working a warehouse job too. You know, trying to do this and keep a marriage going and all
Sure,
that. You
yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then I started up with another band, speaking with Ronald Radford, James Radford. You know, and that everybody goes ways to get tired. You know,
Sure.
you got to work for a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
and people start looking. You know.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then I ended up going to eventually my current band, which is in 2013, Split Shot. So we got about 10 years into this project.
That's pretty good.
And I'm very blessed. We still work about 80, 90 jobs. Before COVID, we had 120
That's
that
a lot.
year. And then now it looks like we're going to do about 80 or 90 this year.
That's pretty good on the rebound from coming out of COVID, you know?
Yeah.
Because the guys I played with, we've been slower getting back into, you know, because everybody's getting back and there's just less to go around up here. So, you know, trying to fill it up has been more of a challenge. So
Right.
that's a lot. I mean, what you guys are doing is a lot.
Well, we don't do much country now. What I call is old people dance.
Yeah.
You know, Come and Get Your Love. We had a CD that ended up being real successful. I mean, 2 songs off of it. On the one song called Ready to Roll, which was John Hook has his Cashbox beach music
Right.
chart, the biggest chart beach music in the world. We were number 8 on the year in 2019 on that, and then in 2020 another one doing that thing we do, and it was number 4 for the year.
That's good, man.
And, had a lot of number 1s for monthlies.
Monthlies, yeah.
But so that's give us some familiarity with a beach music crowd, and we ended up. But it's still hard, like we were talking earlier about, breaking in the new beach band, and it's kind of misleading, being older and being a new beach band,
Right. But I mean, they're all old now. I mean, all the beach bands, everybody's old. There's not a lot of young ones,
No, there's not.
I mean, and the ones that are, say, a new band, say like you would have been now, which is 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
But it would have consisted of old guys. I mean, that's who knows how to play that music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't see bands with
less is more.
Yeah, less is more. Yeah, it is. Who all plays in this band with you?
Okay, well, we got Joey Jackson, who is he plays right side upside down.
Okay, yeah.
And and now he's into that. He had whenever he gets a left-handed guitar, he turns your nut around, so it's like turning the guitar.
Yeah.
Joey's a wonderful singer. He's been around a long time in Greenville area. He used to play with a band called The Oath years ago, and Mark McMakin, the bass player. Now he played with Mac Arnold for
that makes sense.
7 years.
Yeah.
7 out of 9 years. And he was singing, and we just have changed keyboard players back in June. Tony Gardo, who played keyboards, and he played with a band called Hot as a Pepper out of Greenville, and they understand what we're trying to do.
Right.
Now after 10 years, we have a wonderful group of people that follow us.
That's good.
And we refer to them as split heads.
Oh, that's good. Split heads. That's good.
And they just take. I mean, last night we played in Iowa, South Carolina, and they brought cooked hot dogs outside before. Had like tailgating.
Oh, tailgating before.
Right.
Oh, that's great.
And they treat us so good, and we love them so much, and we're family. It's special.
That's kind of the fans you like to cultivate.
I do. Those folks, they're so good to us.
That's really good. Well, I have to say though, the upstate people, they listen better. I mean, the upstate South Carolina music scene is one to be envied. I mean, their fans are good, the musicians are good. I mean, that whole area is just loaded with good musicians.
Talking about, I mean, when I was in high school, we had 4 pretty good bands. I mean, and the high school was 500 people. I mean, we were 7 through 12 at Liberty, but there were 4 pretty good bands, and then there were some other bands that were just up and coming, and that was I mean, that's a lot. Our assembly program is great.
I'm sure it was.
We used to have the best time. That's that.
Cleveland County is that way too. Cleveland County, at any time, has at least 4 or 5 really good working bands here in town, and they'll all be different from each other, which is pretty unusual. I mean, you get a lot of bands. You'll have, you got your rock and roll bands, and you got like your 4 or 5 best of those. But man, we got everything from jam bands to bluegrass guys to R&B, Americana stuff, country bands. We got a little bit of everything working here, which is good. I mean, a lot of good musicians here, and the other place that I equate to that is upstate South Carolina. Some of the best musicians I know, and the best scene. It's the best music scene. I mean, Charleston's fun. Don't get me wrong. Charleston's good. Myrtle Beach is good. But the good musicians are upstate South Carolina.
We've got some world musicians. My favorite drummer is a drummer for Edwin McCain, Tez Sherrard, and they just got a standing ovation on he was on the opera Friday night.
Okay.
They got called back, which is, and Tez is, I mean, he's been playing, and he just barely 40, if he is 40, and he is a monster.
That's great. I mean, that's great. I've seen Edward play. He played up here a couple times at the Don Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a good band.
Yeah, he does.
And then I guess you guys are. I mean, I guess Marcus King is part of that.
Marcus is part of that. That's it.
And his dad, Marvin.
Marvin, yeah. I have my best friend Neil Smith, and he's on the board of BMI.
Right.
And when they have their, they always have their appreciation dinner before the CMA Awards.
Right.
Well, I don't really care for the CMA Awards, but that dinner, the last one, they were John Hyatt. They were celebrating John Hyatt.
Yeah.
And he said, he got me to go. I'm his date for that evening.
Right.
And he said, I'm going to tell you he's going to be here. And so, okay, we're in there. And they go to the meal. And okay, at the table where we are, Robert Earl King sitting at the table with us.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. Well, they start up with the entertainment. They're doing John Hyatt song.
All right.
And the spotlight comes out. It's Delbert with a piano player, and he sings "Have a Little Faith in Me."
Oh man!
And then at this point, I lean over, and Emmylou Harris, I can reach out and touch her. She's there with that producer that does all the rockabilly stuff with the Stray Cats and.
Yeah, I know the guy.
Okay. Anyway, they're there, and so they go through. Elvis Costello was there.
Wow.
Lyle Lovett was there. He came out and sang a song, War and Treaty.
Yeah, War and Treaty, yeah.
War and Treaty played with Marcus, and they did Riding with the King.
Oh, boy, I bet that was special.
It was hot. It was hot. And Emmylou turned back and said, who is that guitar player? And I said, ma'am, that's Marcus King. He's from Greenville, South Carolina, and we're very proud of him. And I got to go tell Marcus that she asked about him.
That's crazy, man. That's
great. But like Marvin and I played in a Battle of the Bands together. They had won the Battle of the Bands the year before, and we were on the show together. And he was in a group called Fresh Licks, and it was Marvin and Ricky Godfrey.
I know Ricky too. Ricky's good. Ricky's
he's stupidly good. He
is stupidly good.
And but anyway, I got to tell Marcus and his dad that Emmylou Harris just asked about you.
That's great, man. That's great.
That's one of the things you'll never forget.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. You
got some pretty good stuff, man.
Yes.
That's
But yeah, I had thought about that in a while. I went to another award. Now this one was they were honoring Steve Cropper.
Yeah, Steve Cropper, man, one of my favorites.
I have my picture made with Steve Cropper.
Oh man, that's too cool.
And then I met Tom Johnson.
Yeah.
And then Becca Bramlett came by. And I had my picture made with her.
Yeah.
And
I like that myself.
That was the experience. My friend Neil has taken me to a lot of good things.
Yeah, I'd say he has. I mean, that's some pretty good stuff.
He's like a friend. We went to all 12 years of school together. I mean, Rust friends. We get together in 3 minutes. We're just like we were in 10th grade of high school.
That's great. I mean, and there again, that's another thing that came out of there that is part of the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, working for BMI like that would be pretty cool. I mean, that's who I get my royalty checks from, which is cool. Does he like doing that job? I guess he does, don't he?
Oh, yeah. It's board. He's on the board.
He's on the board.
Advisory board, and he's pretty much a mover and a shaker in Nashville.
Sounds like he is.
It's he's known for getting things done.
Yeah, that's how you do it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how you get work, is when you can get it done. So,
But Sandy, I'm so incredibly blessed. I
believe you are, brother.
Every day, at my age, it's hard because a lot of things I find, back when you were younger, you didn't get the gig because you weren't good enough or you wouldn't draw anybody. Right. Now some of them you don't even get considered because of your age.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, well, how old are you now?
I'm 60. I'll be 69 in September.
Okay, so you and Neil same age then. That's right. You all went to school together. I'm 70, and I feel lucky. I still get to play music. I know so many people my age that have quit, haven't had the opportunity, laid it down, and I'm like you. The guys that I play with are younger than me, and even though they're still old guys,
Yeah.
But that's being blessed when you still get to play music at this age.
I'm so lucky to have that, and I still enjoy it most of the time.
Yeah, I'm like you. Most of the time, I still do.
But it's just like anything, I mean, there are good days and there are bad days. Like Travis said, a bad day on the bandstand beats a good day in the heating and air conditioning.
Yeah, it does. I mean, he's right. And I did a songwriter thing across the street here, and we had there's 4 songwriters, and then there's a young girl here. She's going to Belmont in Nashville to go to college and be a music major. She played fiddle with us, violin with us, fiddle, whichever it was, and we took her pictures after it was over with. And one of the girls, her name's Valerie Miller, said, "Look at the 4 of us. You can look in our eyes and see that we've been doing this a long time, and even though we're still out there doing it, you can see a weariness in us." And then look at Emma. Her eyes are all bright and shiny because she's 18 and her career is just starting.
Right.
And you could see it,
Right, yeah.
I mean, it's that she's at that point where, like you were talking about when you're living in an air-conditioned building. You couldn't do that now at this age. And it's still all new and fun for her. But still, most of the time, it's still fun for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard for me to go. I'm okay once I get there and start playing, but sometimes it's like, I don't really want to go load up and go do this.
I said, can sit the load ins and there's some venues I won't play anymore.
Yeah, I agree. The load in's bad. Absolutely. Plus, you're a drummer, which you have tons of stuff, And I work as a bass player usually, but I have my equipment's light these days compared to the bass stuff I used to have to haul. I used to, my speakers along were like 150 pounds, 50-pound cabinet go on top of it. Now my 500-watt head weighs 5 pounds. So, I mean.
Not to regress, but I wanted to touch on this. The bass player that died on stage is Benji Linker.
Okay.
An incredible bass player.
Yep, you said you would remember.
Huh?
You said you would remember.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what it comes. It's just the memory card gets crowded and it has to work through, to get it out. But
sometimes I think I need to erase some of mine.
I know, but you want them all.
You do want them all. You do want them all. You really do.
Even the bad ones,
Yeah,
that's our life.
It is, and it's a different life. I mean, a life as a musician is a different life.
It's special, My wife Joyce, she helps me get through. She has to be special to.
I have this theory. I've told people this a lot. The spouse of a musician, they get a free pass. If there's a heaven, they get a free pass after living with musicians.
At least a Purple Heart.
At least, sound men too. Sound men get so abused over the years,
Oh, don't they? I went to a show and my younger brother, he had passed away in January a year ago. He was the stage manager at the Freedom Weekend of Law for 20 years.
Yeah.
And so whenever I wasn't playing, if I wanted to go, I'd go out and hang out with him, and David Lee Roth was there. And he just I was right there behind the monitor mix guy,
Right.
and they had started wearing earplugs, but
Right.
not in ears, but earplugs.
Right,
and then they is raising Cain about his monitor mix with the earplugs,
Right.
You know, and a poor guy, he didn't have a chance.
Oh, I know. I mean, see, those guys, they get something special when their time comes too. I mean, it's hard to do that.
You know, you got to love being the job. Are they paying you really good
Yep.
to take that ridicule?
I know, because you get it hard.
You know, but I watched it firsthand. It was not pretty.
I'm sure it's not. And I could see how he could be a jerk.
And especially there was no crowd like it should have been, or there wasn't. It was 90s. You know, he wasn't a draw. You know,
Right.
He was. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Before that, yeah. I mean, that would be. Yeah, I mean, we all have. After you do this a while, you know who are good guys and who's not good guys. You know.
You do. You see.
And most, I will say this, I've dealt with a lot of musicians in a lot of different ways in my life. 99% of them are great.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that aren't are real jerks. I mean, there's no in between.
Doing the beach wagon and Coyote Joe's, I know who was nice and who was not.
Yep.
I firsthand, you know, it was just
Yeah.
there's stairs on the way down. If you
Yeah,
back
they
down,
are.
somebody might push you.
Right.
And,
Yeah. And this
That's I'm not gonna go into the stories. I just nothing be game. But
no, and I'm the same way.
You know.
Yeah, I do.
But some of the nicer ones to work with, Diamond Rio, you know, they were Exile.
Yeah.
Oh, Exile. We went to the Beachway, and they came in, and they were really hot at that point. And they came in and did their sound check, and they were killing, you know. And we were over there on the side because on the show days, we come in and see what they wanted us to move or what we could leave or whatever.
Right.
You know. And they went out. And like the beach wagon, the dance floor was just huge.
Right.
And they were all and we heard a JP say, "Oh, that's the house band there. We need to go speak to them." They came all the way back and
pretty cool.
spoke to us.
Yeah, that's great. I mean,
You know,
yeah,
it
that's
was
great.
very nice.
Yeah, that's really good.
I never forget that moment. You know,
Yeah.
It was something like that.
Oh yeah, it is things like that stick in your mind, stays with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else we need to know?
Well, like I said, I'm happy. I'm enjoying life. You know, I hope we play for the Split Heads for 69 more years.
Yep.
Anyway.
I mean, so no plans to slow down or.
No.
That's great. I mean,
as long as somebody books us, and it's feasible, we'll do it. You know.
That's great.
Everybody keep on dancing.
I hear you. It's I do appreciate you taking the time to come do
Sandy,
this.
thanks for having me.
Thank you, Odell.